Right now, on to the point. The maps are here, how California's congressional districts could change under Governor Newsom's redistricting plan. The maps are out, but what's next? Lawmakers still with plenty of work ahead before the redistricting question reaches voters. Peace talks in Alaska. President Trump and Vladimir Putin meet side by side for more than 2 hours, saying they reached an understanding. And on the back roads.
Did a plane crash here?
How one man transformed a jet airplane into a home in the middle of a forest.
Good evening, and as always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. You already know what we're starting with in the redistricting battle. We are getting our first look at the proposed maps of California's redrawn congressional districts. Now, this is part of Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to deliver more Democrats to the U.S. House of Representatives. That's in direct response to efforts by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to redistrict in favor of Republicans. I want to bring in ABC 10's Becca Habegger, who has been following this very closely all day, joining us live in studio. Becca, these newly published maps came into our newsroom literally right before our evening newscast, right?
Yeah, Alex, we were waiting for them all day, knowing that they were supposed to come out today, and indeed they did. Late in the afternoon, we've been waiting on these, in fact, for more than 2 weeks, ever since Governor Gavin Newsom announced his plan. He wants to hold a special election in November to change the district boundaries, to flip at least 5 House seats from Republican to Democrat. Now, President Donald Trump has asked Texas to flip 5 seats to Republican, which the governor there is working to do. So let's take a look at what Governor Newsom is proposing. This is the map ABC 10 received late Friday afternoon from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. California has 52 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. That number is not changing. Currently, 9 of them are held by Republicans. This proposed map targets Republican Representatives Kevin Kiley of Rockland, Doug LaMalfa of Richvale and the northeast portion of the state, David Valadeo of Bakersfield and Corcoran, Darrell Issa, representing portions of San Diego and Riverside counties, and Ken Calvert of the Inland Empire. Those 5 stand to lose their seats. Only 4 Republicans remain in what are considered safe districts, and some Democrats in swing districts will find themselves in safer Democratic strongholds. I spoke with Paul Mitchell of Redistricting Partners, who drew these maps.
We have these 5 Democratic pickups, but we also have about 5 seats where we have Democrats who maybe won by a couple hundred votes in the last election, and we can't afford for a Republican to pick that seat up and eat into these potential gains. So we did a lot to bolster Democratic candidates up and down the state that are potentially in tough races, like Adam Gray in the Central Valley.
Keep in mind, California has an independent redistricting commission that is in charge of redrawing congressional districts after each U.S. Census. Newsom's proposal would temporarily put their maps on hold for the next 3 election cycles, returning to the commission after the 2030 census. Adopting this proposed map through 2030 is a decision that would come down to voters this November, and if approved, go into effect with the 2026 midterm elections.
And make no mistake, I will run for and win re-election regardless of the governor's attempt to slice up and gerrymander my district.
Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley is one whose district is targeted by this map. He says he thinks voters will reject them.
They want to keep the Independent Citizens Commission in place. They want to keep our district lines as they were drawn by that independent commission. They don't want to go back to the era of partisan gerrymandering with self-interested politicians drawing the lines themselves. So as long as the truth gets out, California voters will overwhelmingly reject this proposition.
Governor Newsom, on the other hand, says he's confident Californians will approve the maps.
We anticipate these maps will completely neuter and neutralize what is happening in Texas. Donald Trump does not play fair. You've seen that happen over and over again, and I'm just not going to sit back and be complicit.
He said he hopes other Democratic states follow suit so Democrats can regain control of the House in the midterms. Now, Congressman Kiley has proposed a bill at the federal level that would ban all states, red or blue, from redistricting mid-decade, allowing for new maps to be drawn only in the wake of each U.S. Census. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. Tonight, political experts are weighing in on the proposed redrawn congressional maps made public just hours ago and what it could mean for representation in communities across the state.
If anything, what these maps show is that this is why we have an independent commission to do the redistricting. Because if politicians were still solely in power, this is what they could do. In a state where Republicans get about 40 to 42% of the vote in statewide elections, a minority, but a significant chunk of the state, these maps are going to yield about a 9% representation in Congress for Republicans.
To dilute some of these Republican seats, they got to go find Democrats, and it looks like they've chopped Sacramento up, the city of Sacramento up into smaller bites. Again, you know, this is going to be the question when voters see this. They're going to say, well, what does East Sac have to do with Tahoe? You know, so, or some version thereof, because this is what people would call gerrymandering, right?
At 11. Well, among those opposing California's redistricting is former California Congressman and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. So according to Politico, a person close to his campaign says McCarthy has been working closely with Republicans to rally against California's redistricting ballot measure. He says he wants to raise $100 million for the cause. When the legislature reconvenes next week, hearings on redistricting efforts will begin. So here are the 4 measures that will be put in front of lawmakers. First, a constitutional amendment
that makes this essentially one-time tweak to the existing constitutional provision granting redistricting power to the independent commission. That would require a 2/3 vote of both houses of the legislature, no gubernatorial action.
Then 3 bills also need to pass. The first bill is actually to call the November 4th special election.
That's done by a bill passed by the legislature and signed into law by the governor.
The second bill establishes the new map for those 52 congressional districts. And the third bill would reimburse counties for the election.
Essentially reimbursing the 58 counties. The amount is rumored to be about $200 million it'll cost the state to put on this November 4th special election. The 3 bills would require immediate signature by the governor.
The deadline to get the legislative package through is next Friday, August 22nd.
That is the deadline that our Secretary of State, Dr. Weber, has indicated is the last possible day in order for her to put on the November 4th election. Everything from getting the polling places ready to, of course, the voter pamphlet.
The potential cost of a special election has already faced some pushback. On Friday, all 58 counties represented under the California State Association of Counties called on state leaders to fully fund the potential November special election in advance, citing already strained local budgets and warning the unexpected costs could actually force counties to cut core services such as public safety and the social safety net. A Yolo County supervisor that we spoke with representing District 2 is one of those counties who signed on to the letter and says local government budgets are struggling after federal funding cuts.
I think we would see potential to have to make choices about what we actually are going to have to fund. And so if we are spending money on a special election, we might have to cut services like public safety or some of our social net services. And I think that's it's a really tough choice to have to make.
We reached out to the governor's office about counties asking for full funding in advance. His office directed us to the governor's previous comments.
The state of California is going to fund that. And that's what the bill's all about.
Now, the State Assembly has also created a portal for people to submit public comment on what they want to see reflected in these maps. A link to that has been posted on our website at abc10.com. Now, the redistricting standoff in Texas reached a critical point today. State House Democrats remained outside Texas to break quorum and prevent the vote to redraw congressional maps early. Texas Republicans ended a legislative session today without approving new congressional maps, but quickly began another. Still ahead on To The Point, the highly anticipated meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is over as they work towards a path to peace.
And it was hot today, but much cooler temperatures for all of us this weekend, and the Upper Valley and Shasta could see some storms. We'll look at that on Futurecast after the break.
Another warm day. Let's get over to meteorologist Brendan Minchev with a look at your forecast.
It was hot today, hottest day of the work week, and hottest we've been since Sunday when we were in the triple digits. Made it to 95 in Sacramento, 98 in Stockton, 96 in Modesto, 91 in Auburn and Jackson, 81 South Lake Tahoe. Warmer than normal across the region by about 3 degrees in the valley. Temperatures at the moment Upper 80s to low 90s for many, some mid 90s still. 90 in Sacramento, 88 in Elk Grove, 91 in Stockton, 94 in Modesto, 97 up in Colusa, 84 Placerville, 77 in Truckee, 75 South Lake Tahoe. Looking at the Tower Bridge and the traffic getting on 5, 90 degrees, 2 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, but we are getting a nice delta breeze. Winds right now almost 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. About 80 degrees by 9 o'clock, close to 70 degrees by midnight. We're going to start off tomorrow morning in those low to mid 60s. So a mild start with some marine stratus, likely about 63 in Sacramento, 87 in Sacramento on Saturday afternoon, though. So much below normal for the time of year as temperatures begin to drop. 85 in Stockton, 88 in Modesto, 86 in Jackson, 84 in Auburn, 76 in South Lake Tahoe, 79 up in Truckee. Looking at Futurecast, we've got a dissipating atmospheric river that's going to bring some rain to the north coast early Saturday morning. Some showers and thunderstorms up near Shasta as we go through Saturday afternoon into the evening hours, and maybe a few light showers as far south as Colusa, Glenn, and Butte counties, but don't expect much in the way of rain, especially here in the capital region. Again, dissipating atmospheric river Saturday and Sunday. That's bringing us much cooler temperatures. High pressure, though, does begin to build in once again next week. Monsoonal moisture returns to the southwest with that high pressure, but it also means some much warmer temperatures for us. So enjoy the weekend because we're going to be in those low 80s on Sunday, but a pretty quick warm up after that. We're back near the triple digits on Thursday and Friday, Alex.
Not looking forward to those triple digits. All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, the high stakes meeting between President Trump and Russian President Putin is over, what they agreed on and what's still on the table. And you already know it's time to hit the back roads. One man has taken home sweet home to all new heights, literally. President Trump and Vladimir Putin met face-to-face today for a high-stakes summit in Alaska with hopes of a possible ceasefire in Ukraine. Christiane Cordero has more for us from Anchorage tonight.
It's a sight never before seen in history. President Trump rolling out the red carpet today in Anchorage, Alaska, greeting Vladimir Putin as the two walk side by side, F-22 fighter jets on the runway. Flying above, a reminder, if Putin needed one, of American military might. The U.S. yesterday flew in B-2 bombers to Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. The two world leaders are trying to find a path to peace in Ukraine. The president's first meeting 3-on-3, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff joining President Trump. And this evening, both leaders holding a joint news conference.
I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S.
We had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
In recent weeks, Russia has escalated its attacks. July was the deadliest month for Ukrainian civilians since May 2022. And overnight, Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched new missile and drone strikes hitting 13 locations. Ukrainian President Zelensky, blocked by Putin from attending the summit, said we are counting on America. He's calling today's strikes a sign Putin is not prepared to end the war. He wants a ceasefire and security guarantees that would protect Ukraine from further Russian aggression.
President Trump and European leaders have been adamant about the need for a ceasefire agreement, and today, with Putin and Trump standing side by side, no ceasefire was announced. But Hillary Clinton says that she would nominate President Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, but only if he were to help end the Russia-Ukraine war without Ukraine giving up territory. The former Secretary of State and Trump's 2016 presidential election rival said she wants Trump to stand up to Vladimir Putin. Clinton, appearing on the podcast Raging Moderate, said that would mean Putin actually withdrawing over time from territory he's seized. However, she has a more realistic hope from today's meeting. Clinton said it would be for Trump to leave the meeting with a full understanding that Putin cannot be trusted. All right, after the break, another trip on the back roads. We're heading out to Oregon to see an unusual home in the middle of a forest. You never know what you'll see on the back roads. Right now, John Bartel takes us north of California to board a plane in Hillsboro, Oregon. Not just any airplane, though, an airplane that has been converted into a home. Check this out.
A lot of the places I visit on my travels are suggestions from viewers who watch the show. But in the case of this story, my sister texted me a Google Maps pin and a video. That pin drop took me to a forest just outside of Hillsboro, Oregon, where satellite images show a jetliner surrounded by trees.
Did a plane crash here?
Hello, I'm Bruce. Nothing's private. You may explore anywhere.
This is definitely not a plane wreck. In fact, this Boeing 727 jetliner was placed here intentionally by Bruce Campbell.
Why is this in the middle of the forest here?
This is my home. It's a Boeing 727-200 jetliner, retired at Athens International Airport in Greece. I purchased it. Teams and I brought it here. It's my home. When I'm in America, this is home.
Bruce is obviously not your usual homeowner, and a jetliner is not your usual home, but Bruce would like to change that.
They're readily available. About 3 retire from service every day. Mostly they're just flown to a scrapyard and shredded. And it's a shame because they make great homes, aerospace class homes. Let's try these.
Bruce is a retired electrical engineer with a background in aviation, and for more than a decade now, he's been giving visitors tours of his airplane home in hopes they would consider building one themselves.
Want a Kaishin Ma? Yeah, good.
Bruce is more than hospitable, always welcoming people from around the world who speak different languages. But like in anyone's home, Bruce does have some rules.
Please don't touch any exposed circuits. Also, the futon sofa with the purple blanket back there is for freshly showered naked bodies only. If you're not freshly showered and naked, please don't sit there. I sleep there. It's not for outdoor clothes.
Okay, now that we got the rules out of the way, visitors are free to move about the cabin, the cockpit, and even the top of the plane. And while you explore, Bruce will spout out some fun facts about this Boeing 727.
We're in the cabin area now, the forward cabin area, and you can see a few seats from the original aircraft, one of which Jacqueline Kinney Onassis Keister was in because the very last flight for the owner of the airline, Aristotle Onassis, was in this particular aircraft.
After the assassination of JFK, Jackie Kennedy married Greek shipping mogul and airline owner Aristotle Onassis. The two flew this plane, and it was eventually used during Onassis's funeral procession.
And then his body was carried in this aircraft back to Greece for his burial.
The plane was retired in 1999, and that's when Bruce got a hold of it.
The aircraft retired at Athens International Airport in Greece, was flown to Hillsboro Airport about 20 kilometers away for the project.
Bruce says if he had the chance to do it all over again, he would have landed the plane on his property. Instead, he had to dismantle the jet in the middle of the night and then truck the jetliner to where it is now.
Once having done that, we fished our way by towing through a very carefully planned route through downtown Hillsboro with just centimeters to spare.
After a whole lot of moving and reconstruction work, Bruce planted trees around the plane and then moved in.
How much square footage? How big is this thing?
The interior cabin space is 99 square meters. For people who dislike meters, 1,066 square feet.
The goal behind Bruce's airplane home is to show the benefits of repurposing decommissioned jets.
You can make an entire project, you can fabricate a jetliner home for a total cost of about $100,000 for aircraft of about this size.
Bruce will be the first to admit this project was a bit of a learning process.
It's a hack job.
But Bruce is already planning to build a new airplane home, version 2 as he calls it, and he's sharing the detailed plans on how to acquire and build one yourself on his website.
Which we hope will send planet Earth into a new era in which all retired jetliners are used as homes, small businesses, or at least emergency provision shelters.
Well, whether you're building an airplane home or just visiting because your sister told you to, Bruce says stop by any time for a free tour.
It's actually better for me if people simply spontaneously visit.
From the airplane home in Hillsboro, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And if you want to find more Bartel's Backroads destinations on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app, they are under the Shows tab. Just scroll down to Travel, Bartel's Backroads, and you'll find them right there. Of course, the app is free to download straight to your TV. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. I know we cover so much news on our show, but if you ever want to catch up or even follow up on a whole new show, you can always check out our free streaming app. There you can catch up on all the redistricting and everything that's really going on in your community. And I know I always tell you, but if you do have questions, don't forget, you can always reach out to me and the team. We love to hear from you. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday.